Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. It's been a little while, yeah? Okay, if you see me for the first time, hi there, I'm Gladys. I love cakes, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials. My presence here on this tutorial today was not announced, and I only have one goal for today, which is to show up, make a cake, which is going to be a customer cake. My hope though is that this week I'm going to take you through the decorating process. I haven't been here for a little while, which kind of makes today a little bit weird for me because I haven't picked up a camera, stood in front of a camera, and I haven't even, actually let me just adjust this camera look because the angle is a bit like up here. I'm not sure if I got the angle right. Hopefully I am not like looking down over this way. But yes, it's been a little while since I was last here. So today we're going to kind of awkwardly get through it. But if you just see me for the first time, we're making a vanilla sponge cake, which is going to be a customer cake. This is a very popular recipe that I have repeated time and again on the channel. And I'm going to be doing that. Hopefully throughout the week, I'll take you through this customer cake and kind of talk you through everything else that this cake is about. So without wasting your time, we're gonna just preheat the oven quickly, which is 160 degrees C. This is a convection fan oven. A convection fan oven has a fan at the back that radiates the heat around the oven for a more even bake. If you don't have a convection fan oven and it's a conventional oven, you just want to taper down the temperature a little bit. I've discussed this time and again on the channel, so that should be all right. Now onto the ingredients. I've just realized we don't have eggs, but first of all, I have greased and lined my 6-inch pan. The cake is going to be a 4-layered 6-inch cake with some floral details. So these are my 6-inch pans. They are the PME baking pans, which I have greased and then put some baking liners in there just to make sure that they don't stick. And then when we come to the general ingredients, we have sugar. This is caster sugar. There's 425 grams of caster sugar. And then I have baking spread, which is margarine. You can replace this with butter. And then with that comes some buttermilk, which is the liquid to enhance moisture. But buttermilk also plays a very key role in the butter making process, which that it tenderizes the gluten and gives you a soft textured bake. So between the use of the liquid and its properties and effects in the baking process, my cakes do not really need sugar syrup to add to enhance the moisture, if you like. So if this is a recipe you like, look, I've tried it time and again and you can find it. And then we have self-raising flour. There's about 450 grams of self-raising flour here. If you don't have self-raising flour, perhaps your best option is to opt for same quantity of plain flour and add let me just be very sure, because I normally weigh in grams. I don't use the cup and the spoons and everything else. So you will need half a teaspoonful of baking powder, and then I'll go for a quarter of a teaspoonful of baking soda. Both should. If you exceed the quantity, you would end up with an over-risen bake. I've tried it. The reason why I generally opt for self-raising flour is just so that I don't have to employ rising agent, because I do have a funny relationship with rising agents, but it's neither here nor there. I will leave some suggestions in the description box when I come to optimizing it. But I can see Seasons in the chat. Seasons, Steph, hello. How are you, my dear? Great to have you back. It's been a quiet day. I am not expecting the gang back because I've disappeared. Today I am here because I miss being here with you guys, but it's not a full-on because I haven't picked a camera in all this time. Think about the last time you saw me. I haven't picked a camera. I haven't had this face. Let's get through baking and I'll catch you up on like what peace has looked like. Peace, and not that this is not peaceful. I love baking, but let's catch up in a bit. But right now, just a quick hello to Steph for being here. I didn't even announce I was going to be here because I didn't want to make a sing song about it. I wanted to avoid the pressure. And for some reason, I feel like the camera position is kind of this way and I am too far out of it. So let me try and adjust it and then we'll come back. Yeah. Maybe I need to adjust my lights. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, no, I'm not doing that. I am right behind the camera, people. So if you can't, let's see. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, yeah, let's see. Okay. Let's see if it's any better. Okay. Okay. Maybe I need to adjust my lights a bit. I don't know. Let's see. This is how long I've been gone for. Okay. This is like I haven't picked. Yeah, I think this is better because the other time it's like, but I need to adjust my lighting as well. You know, look, today the goal was not to faff about anything. The goal was just to show up. Okay. And I'm glad to be back. And let's get through this bake, and whilst the cake is baking, I can talk to you. Yeah? Great to have you back though, and thank you for allowing me the space and time. Like, I feel a little bit precious about it because it's like, it shouldn't be that way, but I also really, all your support has been so helpful and has always kept me going. I love being here. I do. But the last, X amount of weeks has been like, peace. Well, we have the ingredients, but we don't have eggs. The quantity of eggs you need is exactly 275. That's if you're being pedantic. But you can go up to 282, which is the quantity for 5 large eggs. Because large eggs don't weigh the same all the time. You can have 62 grams with shell or 63 grams. So if I like to break my eggs and weigh them, so if you've been here for a long time, you know that I weigh my ingredients, because including the eggs, I break them and I weigh them. And that's because accuracy matters. Accuracy of your ingredients and their weights in grams will guarantee consistent results. So whilst I know 5 large eggs, especially the UK standard large eggs, are about 63 grams with the shell, I break them and I weigh them, and that in terms of quantity goes all the way up to 282. I add that, you're like, why are you giving me this extra bit of information I never asked? Because over here we talk about real baking and what the practical baking experience is like, the raw moments of baking. Because the raw moments of a baker is, today I just want to make this cake and I don't have any need to save up extra ingredients or surplus. So for instance, if I need 5 eggs that is supposed to weigh 275 and yet it goes up to 282, do I just chuck the rest of the ingredients, the surplus, out because I don't need it, or save them? Well, if I had some cakes to make extra, then I would save them. But I don't have any cake, at least in the next 24 hours. And I don't fancy saving 7 grams of egg white. Like, really? So I intend to add that to the ingredients. And even though the recipe prescriptions indicates 275 grams, I'm only saying the 282 won't ruin the baking experience and you will still yield great results. Okay? So that's just the important detail for you to know. All right? Great to be here though. Let's go. Now, so let's get the eggs. The eggs have been sat at room temperature, so I don't need to do anything to them at all. going to get myself a glass bowl. Yeah, we're going to get a glass bowl, and we're gonna try and get the 5 large eggs, and let's see if we get the 282. Anything between the 275 and 282 should be the results we need, really. Okay, there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we have exactly 280 grams of eggs, but each egg, at least on average, weighs about 56 to 58 grams when it's broken. But the egg itself, let's see how much it weighs with the shell in it. I told you it's supposed to be it's supposed to be 63, but over here this with the shell weighs 64 grams. That's 64. Let's try another one, see if we'll get 64. Okay, this is 66. Same crate of eggs, 64 grams, 66 grams. Can you see what I'm saying? So when in baking ingredients, the prescription is 5 large eggs, you want to be careful if you're dealing with a very, very specific or pedantic recipe, because this recipe is adaptable. You can swap the buttermilk for milk. We've spoken about adaptable. I sound very repetitive. That is for you who hasn't seen me before. Adaptable recipe is good because you can change things around and you can still guarantee great results, because baking is precision cooking. It's a science that requires you to get things right. And most of the time it's important to stick to that principle and rule. But where necessary, especially when you're a beginner who is contending with several things, you're contending with trying to understand what you're even undertaking. You are contending with your own overwhelm and uncertainty of the baking process, because you know what? We don't get perfect every day, okay? We didn't get perfect by just trying it the first time, except that's my very toxic trait. I want to get it perfect on the first try. Have you tried learning a skill or doing something you're not used to and you're just wondering, why is this not happening? It's because you don't know what you're doing yet. That's me, all right? So we're back. All right, great. I've just I just thought this was going to be a dull baking moment. And suddenly it isn't. It doesn't feel like it at all. I'm excited. I am very excited. Steph, I can see you are living over there. I want to come home and have dinner with you. Like, I want to come and have some good old cooking, because those gardening you've been doing over there, you are living. It's great to see you. And yeah, it'd be nice to see what your YouTube experience has been like, because I fell out of love with YouTube for a hot minute, okay? Not with you, but with YouTube as a structure. I still love YouTube for my research and stuff I need to do. Okay, let me wash my hands. We've got our ingredients. Look, I didn't even get the paddle attachment. It's over there. We'll get it. But anyway, people, Steph, how have you been? Where have you been? What's up with you? I know you are creating content and having fun doing it, but how have you been? It's been a little while. It's been a hot minute. Let's see, let me get my towel. It's been a hot minute. How have you been? It would be lovely to get to know. You know, it's a bit like I disappeared and now we're back at the kitchen table having a drink. And it's like, oh, look. Me and my random bits of information. You probably don't need to know this, but for the sake of we talk, okay? You know them people, like, let's talk about bras. Girl, I need to get my paddle attachment, because you know what? Then people that come and suggest new things. I like a good old-fashioned bra, right? The one that goes over here and doesn't allow you to wear a halter neck dress. Because suddenly, if your bra, why are we here? Girl, we're talking about bras, okay? You know, the bra that doesn't allow you to wear a halter neck, right? Because somehow, because the straps are behind you, if you have a halter neck or a bare back, you can't have that bra. And if you don't wear halter neck, which I don't a lot of the time, but sometimes you have a nice dress which is not a bare back, but you also don't fancy your bra straps showing through the fabric, right? Random chat. Whew. Your girl woke up this, what's that? Your girl woke up these quiet times and decided that, you know what, I want to upgrade my bra collection and I want to get the sort of bra that allows a halter neck, even though I have no halter neck. And now your girl is stood here and she's in a shirt and the bra is falling on my arms. Like, why? Random, okay? Random. But yeah, if you see me doing this, it's because I decided to swap convenience and trust for fashion trend. Don't worry. Random, but it's okay. Let's get our paddle attachment. Steph, quality bras are so expensive that I stick with the one I know, okay? I don't know why I decided to go and get this one that is kind of giving me all this hassle. But anyway, we're back, okay? Let's get this going. It's like, why did I do this? Steph has been doing well. She's prepping for a vacation. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Steph, you're prepping for a vacation. Where are you going, honey? Going somewhere nice and sunny? I know it must be. I. Hello, everybody. Hello, I, darling. How are you? There you go. We're having the bacon spread in here. I, how are you, my love? It's been a little while, people. How is life treating you? And how have you all been? Look, I missed you more, darling. I do. I do. How have you been and how was baking? Come tell me about baking adventure. You know what? The quiet moments are the times where you're like, okay, glad I'm here. So whilst you might be missing me, it's also a chance for you to go put into practice the things you've been learning, because there's nothing new we are doing here. At this point, let's agree that we are here to catch up and love on each other and stick with each other in this community we have built, okay? At this point, when I wake up and I'm coming on a live, I have to think about what value I am giving you. But the truth is, I'm not bogged down by the details of the baking thing, because it's the same thing. I'm bringing you my baking experience as a small cake business owner, baking for a client, and this is a client cake, but there isn't much to it anymore, even though there are like snippets of new information. If you've never seen me use my recipes, and I'm talking about what buttermilk does and X, but the truth is we're here to catch up and just have fun, right? So what have you been doing with baking? Come on, come tell us. And if you haven't been baking, that's fine. I haven't, tell a lie, I have actually baked, but I have enjoyed the piece of just baking for me. As in baking, I've baked, like, I have actually been baking, right? But it's also been nice to not have to feel like I have to turn a camera on. Because fun fact, if I decided never to record a video today, I have more content to last me for the next, at least every day. If I decided to create a shorts video, I have more content to last me for the next 2 years. Because I have too much content, because every live I have is the hard copy is downloaded through the third-party app on which I am streaming from. So think about all the lives we've had, at least for this year. each one of them is copied and is stored. So I have that. And then I have the extra long form content that I film independently. Plus I have a backlog of SSD hard drives that are packed with videos from the past. Like, I have enough content. If I decided not to record a video ever again, I have at least 2 years of short videos, 2 minutes each, that I can provide. But you see, I've told you I don't enjoy editing, and so that's one thing. And I'm kind of sometimes in my head about like the quality of what I want to bring to you in terms of value. So it's neither here nor there. I have actually enjoyed baking in the quiet, like just showing up in my, sometimes occasionally in my pajamas and just quietly like pottering around my kitchen and just like in the silence of baking. I have really enjoyed it. But you know what that has also done? It has also given me the clarity of why I do this, you know, which is something I am equally I equally enjoy, you know. So it's neither here nor there. You've had some baking orders. Can we all hear it for our sister? Congratulations. Congratulations. So pleased to hear and so pleased to know. I am so happy for you. I told you. I told you to not go and climb the hill of trying to master all the recipes. Get at least 3 solid ones. My best recommendation, vanilla chocolate red velvet. In my entire career as a cake maker professionally, there is a particular group of people that order lemon. Okay? And in a year, there are about 4 in a year. Okay? That is about 1 every 3 months. Okay? And fun facts. Okay? That's, and lemon. Okay? The random one that is, if you, this information is available on my website. You have 5 flavors. You have vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, and then there's cookies and cream, which is a sort of, it's not vanilla with, a good cookies and cream recipe is not vanilla with Oreos. No, it is on its own a kind of cake. But if you're lazy, you can still make it a vanilla with Oreos. I don't know anybody who's ordered that one. And I actually added it to my ingredients, my sponge options, because I was thinking about children. But since I actively made an effort to not make children's cakes, that recipe is like, why is it even here? Why is it there? So you know what? It's vanilla, chocolate, red velvet. Our people love a vanilla, a good vanilla for our people, because our people will eat your salsas and your jollof and they don't like the heaviness of chocolate. I don't know, I haven't encountered a lot of people in my community that will openly go for a chocolate cake. It's just few and far between. It's not for everybody because chocolate is very heavy in terms of its flavor profile. Like, it can be a bit overwhelming. And after you've eaten jollof rice or salsa with some good grilled meat, you don't want to think of chocolate. But red velvet, crowd pleaser, especially for the people who feel like they have been, what's the word, emancipated from the commonness of vanilla. Okay, they want a red velvet and they like to make it look like, oh, they are suddenly so they've just seen the light. And I'm like, chill, red velvet and all that. Okay, there are better flavors, and I will say that with my chest. That's it. It's not okay. Good luck. Then I says, I have red velvet to bake this week and I'm going to try your recipe. Darling, have fun with it. Now let's go and cream this whilst we're at it. This is going to go for about 6 minutes, 3 minute intervals. We want it to be light and fluffy. Okay? Light and fluffy. Light and fluffy, that's the trick. That's all we need. What have you learned though? Then I'm so excited about this. Now you've got your cake orders. How did you cope in the heat? Because I can tell you, I wasn't bothered about the heat at all, because I chose not to do baking in this heat. Okay? I'm just baking a vanilla, darling. I'm baking a simple vanilla cake. But I think sometime this week I have some red velvet cupcakes though for Saturday. And that I am probably going to film as a long form video. But I'm going to try and bring you the recipe in terms of its pricing and ingredients instead of just a vanilla cake recipe. Okay? So it's the sort of video. Let me not promise because I've only just showed up, okay? Oh, so Dana, you were lucky to not be baking in the sun, were you? Faso, I missed you too. Let's cream this over with and then I'll talk to you. I know, we missed each other, okay? We did. I missed you, honey. I did. It's great to have you back though. It is. Thank you for bearing with me. Having the patience to stick around whilst I've been over here like quiet. It's been peaceful though. I've enjoyed it. So let's get to it. No worries. You go do what you're doing and leave the live on if you want to. You can check out and come in and do the replays. But it's lovely to catch up. How are you and how is work? I hope you are enjoying work and the promotion. It would be lovely to catch up again, people. But let's get this. This thing is noisy. It's noisy. You know who I'm thinking about right now? Tapeta. Tapeta, Lollipop and Dawn. Lollipop and Dawn are in my text chat, right? But I also didn't want the pressure of inviting them to the group chat today. I was like, you know what? I have kept quiet for a little while now, resting up. They have a life too. So look, Tapeta, if you happen to watch this on replay, we miss you. Lollipop, if you catch us on replay, I love you. It's lovely. Your birthday came and went and your sister disappeared over here. I am sorry. Dawn, I'll catch up with later myself, okay? And Tatiana, I don't know if she will make it to the chat or she will come and see us in the future. Tatiana, I hope you are still bossing it up big time and having a great time doing it. It'd be lovely to catch up again, honey. We'll see you sometime. Oh, it's your birthday month in July. Happy birthday in advance. I have some birthdays for loved ones, and my son is actually a July born. So we have some cake to make, but nothing exciting because he told me he wants a particular chocolate cake, and if he could have that year in, year out, that's what he'll have. So we're gonna make a boring chocolate cake because that's what he asks. And you know what? I'm not going to die on the heel of trying to make my child a fancy cake because I'm a baker and that kind of party. Okay? Oh my goodness. So your birthday is 7th of July. Well, happy birthday. I wanted to say congratulations, but it's not for your promotion, is it? So happy birthday, darling. I hope you did something fun though, or you're saving it for next month. Well, come back and let's celebrate a birthday with you over here, okay? But it's great to have you back. once we're at it, this has been creaming for 5 minutes. How do I know? Because there's an alarm, and in a few minutes you're gonna hear it go. Okay, it's going to start beeping. So it will go in a minute. So let's try and scrape the sides in whilst we're at it. And we're gonna add some, oh, I turned down the volume, so let's see whether it will or not. We're gonna add some egg yolks here. Oh well, that's the alarm going. Okay, let's try and get through it. Right, so whilst that is happening, we are going to mix the rest of the eggs. The reason why I added the yolk is simply to enhance emulsification. A little bit at a time, so it gives it time to kind of mix in without collapsing your fat base. Now we have the last bit added in. And that is it. Eggs all done now. We'll let it go a little bit, but before that I'm gonna just scrape the sides. I'm gonna scrape the sides and add a bit in here. Whilst we're at it, 1 second, I've got something to get from my little let this go. I'm back. Okay, I just went to get some dough that I made for a pizza this morning, and so when this goes in, I'm going to attend to that very quickly. Right, and whilst that is mixing, we are going to add the flour. The flour is being added on the fold function. On this mixer there is a fold function, which is the slowest, so that it doesn't kind of activate the gluten and get your bakes tough. Okay, fun fact about today's ingredients: my son was actually my baking assistant, if you like. He helped me weigh this because I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get all the help I need and take what I can get. And he didn't offer, but I invited him for an activity and he was so happy to help. So yep. Okay, now I'm going to wash my hands quickly so I can get this out here. All right, wipe my hands and let's get this out. Okay, and then we'll move this to the side here, unplug it. There you go. Okay, so friend to the channel, Faso, has just told us she has something to do, so she's left the live on even though she's not interacting. Bear that in mind. So if I address a question to her and don't receive a response, she's not being rude, she's already told us. But if you're in the chat, do register your presence and tell us a hi, hello, tell us where you're joining us from. There's not a lot of us, and that is by design, perhaps because I didn't announce my being here today at all. And so YouTube will do YouTube things. So for those of you who are new or seeing me for the first time, just give us a hi in the chat so that we can recognize you in these internet streets, and so you don't feel like a stranger. But there are some homies in the chat already, and it's lovely to have all of you back again. Hopefully we can keep this going, but your sister is an old lady now, okay? Old ladies do need rest sometimes. We do, and I need rest. I need routine. I need sleep. Okay, let's go. This is not. Okay, yeah. Okay, 2 layers. 2 layers. There you go. And as always, there's some water here. I'm going to place that at the base of the oven. And then our cakes are going to go in there. Now, I'm going to set an alarm. Let's see. For an hour 15 minutes. And if you know why I've set this alarm, one of these days when it was so hot and I decided to bake without the alarm and blag it, we ended up talking and I forgot I had cakes and the cake got burnt and I had to bake a new one in the morning. And this time I got so stressed about the cake burning, and still I didn't set an alarm, and guess what? It underbaked and got hollow. So 2 sessions of bake time, all not great results, simply because I didn't have an alarm. So this time I've decided today I'm not trying to rebake cakes, okay? Today I'm just trying to survive and do it right. So that's where we are for today. Let's just wipe our worktop. And this goes to the side. And actually, before we continue, I have some pizza. Ooh, okay. Did I tell you? Did I tell you that as a baker, I can't make bread? Okay, I can't. I do not know how to make bread. Okay, I don't. I'm not trying to make bread. I'm trying to make pizza dough. Okay, pizza dough. And if you know anything about pizza dough is literally a bread variation. Okay, so I have. Okay, I like this. Why do you have anything to do with my pizza dough? I don't know. I'm just telling you. So what I'm doing is I am just trying to fold it back and then leave it to proof. And then by the time this cake bakes, the proofing would have been complete. And then I can cut this up and make pizza. Okay? At least you know what I'm having for dinner. You're in my home kitchen anyway, so that's just by the way. So let's have some olive oil on top of it, and I'm going to wrap this back up again. Haha. Well, if you keep an eye on the community post, maybe I'll post about my pizza. But the boy has already had pizza, not homemade pizza though, so I don't know if you'll fancy a pizza. Okay. So that said, we're going to be here for the next hour, and at least for the next hour, isn't it? So, how are you people? Oh, the dough looks nice, my darling. Can I tell you? It looks nice, but for me though, there have been, let me just leave it somewhere where it can proof better, because where I have left it, I don't think it will proof at all. 1 second. I'm just going to sit it outside. No. I'm actually going to sit it in there. Okay, back on the subject of the dough. It may look like it's risen, but people, I have done all the things sometimes in the right way, and then when it goes to bake, it comes out very tough. Like it comes out like dough that is so tough. When you crunch into it, it's like the dough never rose. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I actually bought myself some baking books for things that I want to learn to bake. Like I bought the basics for bread making, but I haven't had the time to go into it. The bread making, biscuit making, and all sorts of things. So maybe, just maybe, random thought, I might consider making it like a series, like a book club on a live. I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but it will be something I want to develop, just so that you can come along and see me fail at things. Because the plan is not to just show you what I do very well. The plan is also show you things that I want to do better at and learn. Because as a person, you have to be forward propelling sometimes. Susan says, Gladys, what's your outdoor temperature right now? Do I even know? What's the, 1 second. What's my outdoor temperature? Let's see. I know bacon. Can you see? Can you see why I don't know anything about bread? Because apparently temperature has something to do with it. And me right here, I choose not to follow that. Let's find out what the temperature is today, where I am. Oh, 22, 23 degrees. Generally. Yep. Not my exact outside temperature, but I can guesstimate based on the information here, because I have an app on my phone that gives me the general temperature of the area I live in. And at the moment, it's indicating 22 to 23 degrees C. Okay. So what's that got to do with anything? Is that right? 22 to 23 degrees C, people. Inform me on what to do. So what I've done is I didn't put the dough outside. What I did was I have a small cabinet space, which is like a boiler room, you know, in a house where you have the boiler. Like it's a small cabinet, like that is shelved, and it gets really warm. Except today it's not. I don't know why. So, and it's a dark place. So I just put it on one of the shelves and just left it there. Some days when it's really warm, it kind of rises better, but today it didn't seem to have risen the way I have known it to rise. So that is neither here nor there. But my people, like I said, in the last couple of weeks, this is the first time I have had this face back on. this scarf back on. Like, I have felt really different, and it's been so nice. It's been so nice in terms of how quiet I have felt, how rested I feel, because I haven't felt the pressure of picking up a camera. Like, it's not that deep. I have just felt like, look, I'm gonna rest and focus my attention to other commitments. And it's not just the commitment of baking. You know, I've told you people, I have a life, you know. And whilst I do share snippets of it, the bigger picture though is that when my life intersects with cake, then I will be quick to come and tell you everything in it. But where I just sincerely need to quietly dedicate my attention and focus to other things outside of baking, I can do that. And for the very first time, I felt a sincere need to do that without the pre-announcement of, oh, I need to go do this. And I think you guys saw it coming, especially when I came back and I was like, look, the lives in the daytime is not going to work for me anymore. But I am also tired. And we got through the week. It was it was hard because I felt like I was expending too much energy trying to keep up. And with all the changes that had come with YouTube as well, I just felt like, you know what, maybe let me go and get a break, quietly rest up, and actually think through my decisions that I need to make. And so today, I think after a while, I just settled into, you know what, I love being here with you guys. And I'm not saying that because I'm here today. Most of you, or at least those of you who are plugged into the community, you treat me like a person, a family member, somebody you know. So you haven't felt the need to ask me, prod me, require me of anything. And I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that. Because to have that sort of consideration from a community, that in many cases is not the same for everybody. Because if you're creating content and you're present over here, sometimes the need to chase the numbers, to please everybody, to attract an audience, it's part of the game, actually. It is. And one of the things the silence gave me is recognizing that our community, whilst it is not dissimilar to some of the genuine communities that have been created on YouTube, our community is really plugged into its value system, which is that if I need to go away, you guys just get on with your life and you're like, hey, oh, when she comes back, right? And so I haven't felt the pressure at all. I haven't had the mental thing of what's going to happen to the channel when I show up back, you know, and it's a good thing to not have that at all. It is really a good thing, and I sincerely want to say thank you for all of you who gave me the space and time to just go catch up, rest, and commit to other areas of my life. Okay, in that, I'll say this is the thing I found out. I found out that I don't want to chase the numbers anymore. I don't. Okay, I don't want to chase numbers. I don't want to have to show up for the sake of showing up. Okay, and I also, here's the bigger revelation that I came into. I realized that the intention I had for being here when I started this channel has changed for good reason, and without knowing, I have had to accept it. I'll explain. When I started YouTube, right, it was a means to diversify my skill in the hope though that it contributes directly to the growth of my business. Because when I started baking, I didn't have grand plans of what this was ever going to be. Hear me when I say, people are like, have a business plan, know where you're headed. Look, I knew I had a skill I loved and was passionate about, okay? I just didn't have any grand plans about how it was going to make me like a millionaire. In terms of success, okay, if I'll tell you what I wanted my cake life to be, I just wanted to be able to generate a livable income from it so that my son, my family, I could be able to just do the things that, and essentially if it replaces a day job, okay, for me, that's a win. And the day job has a particular number. And if I'm being really honest and open with you, that amount doesn't even exceed like 4 grand. Honest. Like, it's not like I'm not ambitious, but I was just very realistic about what my goals were in terms of being on YouTube. And the simple reason was, when I started cake making, I did it for a long time as a hobby. And I always enjoyed that part of giving cakes to people for the sake of. And then I did the thing that most people unknowingly do. With the support and encouragement of family and friends and loved ones, it was like, oh, this is a thing. And then I went and I made it into a business, okay? And the business is where you consciously or deliberately transact, you know, the value in return for some income. But that wasn't long before COVID happened. And when COVID happened, it all fell apart. I had no business. And suddenly the lesson I learned was, oh, okay, so you can go and pursue your dreams, but you were never prepared for the unknown down the line. So that changed how I felt about this grand thing of a business of cakes, because I realized, okay, we don't know what our world is going to be like. If I woke up and my world had changed, as in the world changes again, am I going to have a business? And then I also realized that having a business requires me to be here, to be present all the time. And I don't know if I really wanted that. Like, I never wanted to be, I wanted to go away, leave it if I wanted to. I know that is very precious, okay? It's a precious thing, which all ties into where my heart posture was. My heart posture was never to make this thing a thing, as in the big grand way. I just wanted to adventure my way through it. And so for most of the time, when I was asked the question, how is the business going? I never knew how to answer it, because it was something I was just like tinkering with, if I'm being honest. It was like, okay. So for a long time, that was what it was. And so when I figured out that, okay, there is a sort of issue baked into this thing where COVID can literally wipe your business, I thought, okay, I might as well think about how I can sustain. And part of thinking about it, I came up with a solution that, okay, I love cakes as a subject, as in the thing called cakes. If I didn't have a cake business at all, I will still be obsessed about the subject itself. I love the subject of cakes. So what can I do with that? Because whether the business is available or not, I still love this thing, which is the cake. And so coming on YouTube was my very own way of exploring the subject itself. Now, the confidence and information I have built with all the library of information I have on the channel didn't just happen by day. In fact, my presence on the lives was sincerely a way to grow my own way of communicating, showing up on camera. And over time, whilst you have gained the value of community interaction, information about baking, the bigger win for both of us has been that as I've grown in being able to deliver the information to you and communicate it in a way that appeals to you and gives you value, I have grown myself as a person. But the lives were never the thing, because the lives have evolved into a life of their own where we talk about random things. Look, if you were here earlier, I was telling you about my bra and stuff that you don't even care about. The lives have become a place of self-expression for me, you know, to be able to say the things I'm thinking about out loud, for you to experience a very raw and unfiltered baker, but hopefully in a very appropriate way that is suitable for you. But this channel didn't start as a live production. It started because I still wanted to be able to discuss the subject of cakes. So I didn't want me even in the center of it at all. So if you go back to my old videos, I started as a voiceover video tutorial person. Like, I would create a video and I just wanted it to be about just cakes. But the truth is, as I was doing that, which I enjoyed, I couldn't put out as much videos as I wanted, because it required a bit of technical know-how, which is the editing, the process. It just became too tedious for me. And I really did enjoy the information output rather than the structured process of the information output. I'll explain. The information output is when you see the video and I'm talking about the subject of cake. I loved that aspect. The structured process behind that is the scripting. The many times I have to go back and look at the script and structure the script in a way that delivers from start to finish. That was a lot. So for one video, sometimes it would take me up to about 2 weeks to be able to create one video. And that wasn't also based on just the difficulties of the process itself. It was also steeped in the inexperience. I didn't start up as a videographer, so clearly I had to learn slowly. And so as time went on and I began to enjoy the process of the video making, which was the information output, I just thought, okay, maybe the best way to cut out the structure and the process, which is harder for me, is to just show up on a live, right? Now, I would say that took a long time. Like, I thought about it and I thought about it because I was always wary of me being the character in the subject of cakes. I never wanted that. I want you to think of cakes as something you enjoy. I don't want it to be about me and my life or what, like, we're not that kind of party, okay? But then once I showed up on the live and I grew in confidence and my skill grew alongside it, personality came through, and so real life came along with it. And because you became a community of support for me in my home kitchen, which was incredibly important, because if I was doing this anywhere else where I was hiring a studio and I was set up over there, that would be different. But it almost seemed like you were invited into my home kitchen. This is a kitchen. I cook here, I do stuff here. You've seen me do stuff outside of bakes over here. And as a result, you would hear my son, even though he was never like on camera with you like that. Sometimes on the lives he would talk. You got to see my home dynamics play out a little bit. And you know what? It was never intentional to kind of bring you along, but it was never a forced interaction either. It was just, my life is here and I'm in my home. I'm not going to shove the people who are in my home environment in a corner somewhere. And I'm not going to go out of my way to structure the video out of the presence of those people, right? So it became an interaction that we all enjoyed, and I felt like I could give you what naturally felt truthful and honest within reasonable boundaries. And I think you guys really respected that, which culminated into when my relationship ended. Now, did I really need to address that? No, I didn't need to, because my son's dad and I do co-parent in an exceptionally reasonable way. That is not the norm of what I expected. So his presence would have still remained nonetheless, whether I chose to address it or not. What I didn't want, though, I didn't want to carry on with the perception of where I was relationship-wise. Not that you'll probably ever get to know what I'm doing with my personal life, because it's neither here nor there. But I just didn't want that perception to remain, because you had welcomed his presence in a way that was part of my life. And I just needed you to kind of reframe into the acceptance of what my life was like without him in it, and now as a single parent. And that was important, because that is also important to show you how your favorite creators change as life happens. I have nothing to sell you. I have nothing to hide from you. I can only show you what I feel comfortable with, and I sincerely felt comfortable with that. And so as the journey has gone on and I have showed up to talk to you about cakes, I have maintained the intersection between cakes and my life. Because one of the reasons also, besides trying to reframe the perception, was also to let you know that because my commitments have changed in terms of the time and circumstance, I wasn't probably going to be able to make the commitments that has been free flowing whilst I was still in a relationship, because the relationship provided me the peace of mind to be able to do what I wanted when I wanted, because childcare was never like an issue. But with the change, my priorities had to adapt to focusing on being a parent, and then cake had to sit underneath that. Now that was a very difficult juggle, but you came along, and I don't think the disruption was any like bigger than I anticipated. Like when you guys saw me and we kind of hung out and we did our thing and we went away, and it's been fun. So that all led up to, as time has gone on, I looked at YouTube and I thought, well, I have enjoyed the experience of being here, and I still do. Which is not to say that I am leaving YouTube, let's be clear. But what I have really, what I didn't anticipate is the sacred community that we had become. And I'll explain that. The keyword being sacred, because on YouTube, the spaces that we create almost is created with the intention of a valuable transaction, a material transaction of, as in, you have to make it like monetize it. And make no mistake, I am very ambitious. Make no mistake, I like a bit of money here, okay? But I realized that as being here and communicating with you and growing with you became obvious to me, putting it the subject of monetizing it actively and aggressively just didn't work for me, okay? And I'll tell you why. I have always been comfortable with the notion of why I am on YouTube, and that's because I always wanted to cover the aspects of YouTube that I miss as a consumer on the platform. And the part that I miss is because I've told you before that I use YouTube to teach me YouTube. My life and things I do in my life revolves around consuming content on YouTube. For instance, if I wanted to do a research about something, YouTube would become part of that resource. And so if I'm thinking about, say, my own life, I learn a lot of things from YouTube. And so when I think about cakes, for instance, when I watch other content, I don't think I knew this when I started. And you never know when you are embarking on a journey. You have an idea, but the experiences are completely different. So from this long story I've just told you, I showed up on YouTube just to create content about cakes and to give you information about cakes. And then as the experience went along, I showed up on a live, and then we connected and we talk about family life and we talk about faith and everything else. And as that journey went on, even if I started with the intention of wanting to monetize the channel and grow as a business on the channel, I have since realized that the values we have created and what we want, it just doesn't work, you know. And I have struggled with it because I've struggled with the same notion as a cake business. I told you I love the subject of cake. I have never been comfortable about why cake should be sold, but hey, it's not a moral thing. It's just because I had to do it to realize that I love the creative expression of the subject matter, and I love the expression of being able to talk about something I really so am passionate about without having to feel like I have to sell you anything. And so as time has gone on, and with the changes on YouTube, I accepted the simple truth that, you know what, if I never made anything out of YouTube, right, as in if I never made any money out of it, I'll be comfortable with the community that I built, okay? I'll be comfortable because I am still passionate about what I do. Here's what is true though, YouTube changed. And so even your bigger creators are realizing that building a platform and relying on monetizing the people's attention in a way by selling them things, it's not even a guaranteed means of income consistently for a lifetime. It isn't, because you have to adapt with the time. And I've told you before, I am very clear about my goals here. And my goal here is not to aggressively sell you anything or do anything other than the fact that if I met you on YouTube today and we talk to each other and you go away happy about cakes, I am happy, okay? over here, the conversation I'm having with you, it's you, me, and a camera in a kitchen, okay? If the cameras went off and I met a random stranger at a bus stop, I will still be yapping about cakes. So I haven't lost anything if you do not put money in my pocket or do anything at all. I am great. I had you for a moment and you learned something, and I got to know that somebody was interested in what I have to say. And I think that it took me a long time to recognize that that is a peaceful place to be. Okay, it is so peaceful to not feel like when you show up here, you don't have the edge to feel like you have to do anything other than just being here. And so as that intention began to develop, I realized that I just want to keep the sanctity of the community as is. And so the question of what happens to monetizing and what happens to the business of making money on YouTube, the simple thing is that I accepted that whilst I will not make money on YouTube or aggressively go and determine a marketing strategy to sell cake, something I don't enjoy, I probably have to go back to my roots. So I decided to think about a different career path away from what I had done in the past. So in the last couple of weeks, I went back to work, okay? And it is different from what I'm used to, which is also part of why I never said anything about it, because it was getting used to my new environment and getting my feet set in. It's in education. I am so pleased to be there. It's an opportunity to grow, and I have dreams that I can't even tell you about, because as I have gone through my life, there has been surprises that have come along the way that have been greater than I would anticipate. So I don't want to ruin it for you. But if you don't see me here, I have a love in my life now that I am committed to. But I hope I can juggle both. So we are in a new era of content. We are in a new era of content where you will see me enjoy my passion without doing anything else. The membership is available. I am not going to deactivate it, but you are not going to see any more content over there because I don't want to actively and aggressively save content. Look, I only have a certain amount of output, okay? So it's there if you want to support the channel, but you're not going to hear me talk about it, no. And you never have to feel like you have to do any more than what you are already doing. So what are we looking forward to in the future? I really want this community to grow and for me to be able to express myself. One thing I said when we started this live is I really wanted to grow it as a show, like an online show for us to enjoy. That is still something I want to do, especially now that I know that I don't want to monetize it or do anything else at all. If I came here and I wanted to talk about real life circumstance, things that happen to us, we can talk about it without having to feel like I have to filter myself or the algorithm, because I am not aiming for YouTube to do anything other than just being here. If I'm not here, know that my life is committed to something I am at this. Look, when you reach 40, you are not doing anything else for the money. Like, I'm not trying to do any job I don't care about and hang out with people I don't care about. No, I don't want to be in survival mode either. So I have such clarity and peace in my life in what I am doing now, and being able to balance that peacefully with not having to take an order I don't care about. Like, I've always turned down cake orders, but there's a certain piece of knowing that I can say no and just move on, okay? So we are in a place where when I show up here, we have peace with each other. And you're going to see the content be contenting. As in, if I showed up here and I wanted to talk about like starting over, like in life, I can unfilteredly talk about that and share some experiences of mine whilst it's still connected to cakes. And if I do decide to kind of bring you cake videos, it will be set in the value of giving you the information, which is not just limited to recipes. Okay, because if it's just a recipe video, you can find some online. You can go and Google and find all recipes, and they are all there with the information. So I don't think you're here for just me and my red velvet cakes. Let's be real. Okay. And so if I showed up and I wanted to talk to you about a recipe, I probably will look at an angle of value that I can bring to you. Okay. And whilst we're at it, the community remains the community. And I want you to come here. And if we want to talk about our journey through faith, we can talk about it without you thinking, ooh, well, where is faith and suffering when you are probably struggling in your day, right? Because not everything is about money and business. Okay, not everything. And I've just accepted that. The community you and I have contributed to building isn't about money. And for that, I am so grateful. I have peace about it. That's all. Seasonings. Okay. Oh, I'm missing something. One second. Let me go back to the chat. I missed something. Right. Let's go back to Faso says, I know the feeling. 2 weeks of editing whilst doing my darling. Look, I hate editing, and I've given you the tips on how, but I just don't want to have to. It's a different kind of beast when you're pulled from pillar to post. And the thing that led me to leaving traditional employment to try my hands at this passion of mine, which is cake making, was because I told you before, we've had this conversation that I was never opposed to having a traditional job. In fact, I will be the first person to tell you, having a traditional job will give you stability in a way that having your own business will not. Let's be clear. But the principle for me is never to be attached to anything in a way where when life happens to you, you're stuck. And the joy of considering going back to traditional employment now is because I know it's a choice I made. The choice to even consider going back to traditional employment and to consider a whole different career choice that will grow me, it's like, it's a privilege on its own, right? Because what I did before going over here in education is completely two different things, okay? And I'm like, okay, so life hands you a deck of cards and you're like, okay, and the speciality of what I do in education is something that I am very passionate about. It's not a subject matter that I intend to bring on the channel because I want to keep both lives separate. The simple reason being, if you occupy a place of trust, it's important to have clarity over what becomes public discourse, right? So I do not want to bring my day life here because it's really important to keep that separate. But I love being here. I love the subject of cakes. The good thing is that one allows me the other, okay? If I woke up and I decided that life over there I didn't like, I will still be over here, okay? And I will have to think about what else this looks like for me. Or I'll go find something else. Like, I have adapted and my skills have grown in so many different ways. I am surprised that you can't put me in one box. So I am not about to sit through 40 hours of editing just for the sake of. No. It's not that kind of party. But it's neither here nor there. Right. Hep is back. Hepzibah. How did you asked me a few questions in the comment section, and I hope the answers did help you. How did the baking experience end up? I hope I helped in a very small way. That said, Hep was saying, is asking if I'm on LinkedIn. I think the LinkedIn account I have is connected to my cake business. I don't have a profile. You know what? For somebody who is online, I really don't like putting myself personally online like that. You know, I don't, unless it's in some sort of professional capacity. But because this role is new for me, I am not on LinkedIn like that. But in due course in the future, if I decide that I was going to put my public profile up, you'll find it. But I think I've also gotten used to the idea of safety and people just being interested in your life unnecessarily, in a way where sometimes I just feel like I can just keep some things to myself and just go on about my life. So I don't know if what I do professionally would end up like being a LinkedIn, but it's a long way from now. It is. So it's yes, I'm on LinkedIn, but it's more about cake than what I do over there. Heb says, Pastor says, congratulations on your new journey. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I am excited about it. It's not just a career, a start of a new career. I actually, because it's something I am incredibly passionate about, I hope I can grow in it. I hope I can grow, but not just grow as in climb the ranks. It's not that kind of party for me. But I hope I can go back to furthering my education on the subject matter and make something of it. And I think at some point there's an intersectionality between that and cakes, where through hopefully the profile I build and competence I build as a cake maker and somebody of trust in this capacity, which is what we have here, we can transition that into a community that can support each other in some valuable way. That's just a thought. Some days I have to remember the quotation that I once said to somebody: trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And in this time of my life, I cannot tell you, the joy of my life is, I cannot tell you how that is true in many ways. To trust the Lord in ways that, like, I know the subject of faith. When we start talking about faith, it becomes so abstract. And if you're not a person of faith, that's fine, okay? And if you're a person of faith and you have gotten into a crisis through life's experience, it is okay to question where God's presence is in terms of the unanswered prayer and the failures that you have experienced, or the unmet expectations that never happened. All those things are part of the faith process. None of those experiences is supposed to, well, sometimes they challenge you, and depending on where your footing is, you can give up on this abstract feeling of faith, or you can probably steady up and explore better. And I can tell you, my journey with faith has been incredibly fulfilling in a way that I can tell you I found God in the darkness. Things that you probably never know about. But the fact that I exist here on YouTube in a very reasonable capacity and trustworthy way is actually in itself a testament to faith. So I can never limit God to what his possibilities are, because my life is a testament to if I had to kind of condition my life and the journey, I could never achieve any of the things I have achieved so far, you know? And so for that, I don't know what this new journey is in terms of what my own aspirations are, okay? I don't know. And that's not because that is not to say I'm not ambitious enough to have a plan. I do. But I have encountered God in ways that has taught me to just walk the path and just let things be. Okay, so if there is something I am here to tell you today, if you are in a place where that prayer is unanswered, it is probably time to not pursue God for an answer, but to ask him why he hasn't answered yet. That's all. Hep says, I pray everything works well for you. Stay focused and don't tell us anything until it works out. Sometimes it's best to keep things quiet until it all works out. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. The joy of this place is that for you guys who are really in the community, you don't require me to tell you anything. You don't. And that's a privilege in itself, because there are other communities that's like, where is she at? And then there's like speculation over things that shouldn't be. Okay, so I know I don't have to share anything I don't want to, but I also find it satisfying to be able to have a conversation in a matured way without feeling like I have to spill my guts out. The most important thing though is that everything I've said is just for you to witness somebody try to hold two passions together in a way that I have never done before, because I was either working full-time and this was just a side project for me in the past, and then I decided to do this full-time, and then I figured out that actually I want this to be a place of peace and existence for me. And so now I have two passions, one of which allows the other to exist. But this also allows you to see what it is like having a content creator, have a full-time job, have a mothering responsibility, and show up and still create content. What does that look like? I don't know. I just know that I can only dedicate my attention to what I can, and what I can't, I just let it be. That's all. Season says, I love your online show, our virtual friendship, and I love it too. I love being here with you guys, which is why I realized that we don't have to monetize what we're doing over here. Okay, we don't. And YouTube can YouTube all it wants, as long as you can wake up and know that you can come here and exist and catch up with each other in the chat and have fun. That's fine. And you know what, that doesn't change the fact that if you ask me questions about cake, I'm gonna answer it for you. Okay, so you never have to worry. Listen, this is about to get real. Okay, because actually I was sitting there thinking, oh, I need to get a microphone so that the audio in the live is better. I have no intention to upgrade it to a camera thing yet. The simple reason is, whilst a camera, having it like a proper show and all of that, it's going to be fine. At this point, it's going to create technical problems for me, and I don't want that. I just want to keep things bare minimum and simple. Okay, so at best, I'll probably get the clip-in microphone so that the audio is better. But my point is, I was just sitting there thinking, why haven't I cooked that jollof rice? Because YouTube was going to pan the if I cook jollof rice, because I am identified as a cake channel. The moment you introduce something else, YouTube is trying to work out, is this a cooking, like, and then it kind of kicks it to the side. It's a YouTube problem. But I was sitting there thinking, why haven't people seen this jollof rice? Because I know there are people like Dawn, for instance, like Lollipop, like Tapeta, who want to see the jollof rice. So actually, interestingly, I've been looking for my jollof rice pot. Hang on tight. That pot, the day it shows up, you will see me over here. And we'll be covering the subject of jollof rice. And I don't intend to make the jollof rice a long-form content, because I don't want to edit stuff out. I'll take you through how we make jollof from start to finish my way. And you can come back to it. And if I came and I wanted to make you my wonky pizza that doesn't work, we can do that. So you can get to just experience being here and interacting with each other, rather than creating the content that is fit for the channel, because we're not about to do that anymore. We're just about to live. Okay, that's all. The night says, you're a natural educator. Thank you. Whew, it's wild. Like we're here now. Hep says, each day will be a learning experience for you, Gladys. Be gracious with yourself. Take on each day as it comes. Thank you. Hep says, listen, without Jesus, I will not be here today. In the victories, the worries, the sorrows, the joys, and everything between. Jesus still my anchor. Well, I think Hep has said it for us, okay? Like I said, this is not about to be a preaching channel, but we live here authentically. I've told you, I'm a person of faith. If you came to me with your problem, the first thing I'll probably tell you is, will ask you is if you need a prayer. I'm not opposed to listening to what you have to say. I'm not opposed to that. So we're not about to be a preaching channel, but I'm a person of faith, and so I lead by that when necessary. So thank you for sharing that. That said, you know what? It's going to be a good time. The jollof will come. We're going to have a good time over here. Look, it's all this time. The cake is still baking, and we still have an hour out. Okay, I did answer, but sometimes when the response doesn't come in the short time, you don't get the prompt. So you were asking about the cake layers, and I think my answer was I don't freeze my layers. I only rarely do that if I have to plan, but I don't have a need for them. But I'm not against freezing your cake layers, except I've always said that freezing cakes and thawing them in the process without experience and knowledge creates other problems. So if you are stuck in a situation where you feel like you want to firm up your layers, put them in the fridge a couple of hours. You did say you do that for 30 minutes. That's fair. I do that sometimes up to about an hour or so. What I do is I torch the cakes, spread them on a tray, cover them in cling film, and then put them in the fridge for a couple of hours. And that's because when they chill, they set nicely, and then you can stack them, especially in the warm weather. Because in the warm weather conditions, if you're stacking your delicate cake layers at room temperature, they can be very crumbly and they can fall apart. One way to allow your cakes to fall apart is work with them at room temperature, especially in warm weather conditions. And it's important to distinguish that not all cake layers are the same. For instance, at room temperature, a butter cake will be steadier compared to a cake that is made with oil, because oil still remains, is more delicate at room temperature compared to a butter cake. And if your recipe derives a firmer, solid cake at room temperature, maybe you can get away with working with the cake at room temperature. So sometimes answering these questions are very specific to the context of what you are requiring it for. So if you have a very delicate cake layer, like the recipe I use all the time, that is why I don't even use sugar syrup. There's a reason I don't use sugar syrup, because sugar syrup is just to enhance the moisture, but the cake is already moist and delicate, so why should I? So that's one thing. Okay, Hep says I had 6 layers and everything came out well with white chocolate ganache. It was hot. I stacked 3 layers, fridge 40 minutes with cling film. Great. I'm happy for you, girl. See, that is the joy of teaching cake making the right way, right? Because you would think that this will require you to take a cake class, and rightly so, if you need to. But I remember the time I didn't have the money to afford a cake class, and you're like, what am I gonna do? My cake will keep falling apart. Okay, so so the tip, I guess you utilize the tip of stack them in layers. Stack 3, put it in the fridge, come back, and then by the time you finish, you have a cake that is stacked up nicely, and the weather ain't got nothing to do with you. But I am grateful I wasn't baking in that hot weather though, because that I could barely put clothes on. Don't go imagining things. I could barely put clothes on. When the morning came and I opened the door, I was like, I better be a good Christian. Okay? Because I want to be at the forefront of the queue headed to heaven. Because if this is a taste of hell, I am trying to go there. Hep says I used super thick dowels. Okay. Because it was hot. Honey, it was hot. Well, who am I telling? If it was hot, you knew. Auntie J. Hey, Auntie J. Can you see? Can you see? I feel a different kind of like. Auntie J, I'm sending you hacks. Ooh, it's been a while. How are you? Oh, look at us. Hep says, I learned that bit from you. Thank you. I saw your video where you stacked some and placed it in the fridge. Well done, honey. That's the joy of learning here. That is, like, I will never tell you a tip that I haven't used and vouched for. That's all. So I'm glad. I know, Auntie J. Look, your girl has been MIA. But you know what? It's great to be back. Like, a little part of me knows that there is a select, without the distinction, right? There's a select few of you in the community that are like, if I think it in my head, you're like a virtual family member. And so sometimes I feel like if I'm not here, we can still sit at our own tables and sort of catch up. And whether that's by emails or via text, I sincerely appreciate that, because then it allows me the opportunity to know who wants to come along and who is not just existent on here, right? It's kind of a different feel, because otherwise everybody is here. And then if I go, then it's like there is space between us. So yeah, when I come back, it's like, oh, I see you all. Like, it's lovely to be here. Auntie J, how have you been? How have you been? How have you been? I hope you're okay though. The UK decided to be hot for a while. And combined with everything else, I was like, I'm out. Because first of all, I couldn't even put my clothes on. Okay? That song we sang that got us demonetized was real for about 2 weeks. Not every day though, but it was so scorching hot for like a solid 2 weeks. It was like, whew. Nelly didn't have to tell me to take my clothes off. Okay? This time I took the clothes off by myself. And you know what was better? I didn't even need a Nelly around. Because I was like, this space is for lone existence. That's all. Auntie Jackie says, I've been well. It's been extremely hot here. Listen, I don't think I can compare our heat to yours. And it's neither the here nor there. I think the heat you're experiencing there must be a good thing for you. But in the UK here, you know, we over here, we have them little houses that are like kilns. I'm not offending my host country, UK people, don't come for me. But we live in these places that look like kilns on a regular day. So imagine a kiln that has extra heat added. That's us some 2 weeks in a year. So anybody in the UK, we ain't here for the weather. That's all. It's like, Cece said, it's like we can't connect unless Gladys is here. She's that. Listen, I think so. I think after a while, in my moments of contemplation, okay, and clarity seeking, I recognized that every time I felt like I didn't want to be here, it wasn't even about me anymore. Like, I never feel the pressure to be here. So let's be clear. I don't show up to be performative to any of you because you don't ask that of me. thank you, okay? But even for the things we love, sometimes you desire to just get a break from it. And so where I have exercised the freedom to be like, you know what, I need to go do me over here. I think the humanity of that means that I recognize that being on this channel is not even about me, because we've agreed that you're not here for just the cake tips. Yes, the cake tips are fun and unique and very raw, yeah. But if you didn't have me here over here for the cake tip, you will find it somewhere else, okay? So I realized that being here wasn't even about me anyway. It was, besides the fact that there is a reason to be here, it was also more about being a conduit, which is that we've created a community now. And I don't think the community is, it's my name on it, yes, but it's more to do with your presence and your connections with each other rather than me. So every time I'm not here, the only time I feel the pressure is when I'm thinking about you guys and going. When I'm not here, it means the door is closed for your own personal interactions. Does that make sense? And it's not even about me. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, I have to be here so that you guys can come and bow down. Okay? It's not that kind of party. But it's more like, I think, because I have to come and open the door so that you two, because I see your interactions with each other. Like when Tapeta and Auntie Jackie are catching up and Denai is telling us about tutoring and stuff like that in the chat. Like, and then Seasons is telling us, like, you guys are friends with each other. Except the keys to that friendship is held by me. So when I'm not here, it means the door is locked and you all sit outside and wait. And I don't like that for you. I don't know if we are going to have to find a way of kind of like changing that. But I guess it is part of the thing we have created that I hold the keys. But if I could just move the keys to somebody else and be like, here you go. When I'm not here, you guys just sit over there and kind of play with each other and chat. That would be fun. Which is why I thought it would be nice in the future, wherever, without putting any expectation here. The hope is that we'll transition this into, like, say, a show where if I could travel, we can meet each other in towns and places without having to feel like YouTube is the only place we have to catch up, right? And it doesn't have to be like a big show. Like, I'm happy with a pub chat. I'm happy with going to the pub, even though I don't drink. I'm happy with sitting with a friend at the pub. So we can go and do a small show of 10 people, like go for brunch and hang out and do cool stuff. That's just a suggestion for the future, so that we are not limited to just being here, because ultimately our being here is just a small part of the expression we have with each other. What do we think? That would be lovely. Zoom. Okay. Right. You guys have ideas. Okay, let's put them in the chat. I'll go have a look and we'll see. Maybe we'll have a monthly Zoom catch up. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun, you know, where the Zoom catch up has nothing to do with anything on YouTube. It will still probably be, maybe, look, you know what? I really didn't think I was going to have this. Like, I thought because I'd been gone so long, I just wanted to do this. Just show back here and be like, hi, and just disappear. But look, I'm having so much fun. Yeah, the Zoom chat might end up being, say, the bake-along session. So that beside, and if it's not a bake-along session, it's like you can bring your own, like, drink. And look, it's an open floor. You can bring your orange juice, you can bring your glass of water, I can bring my cup of tea, we can have tea time, and then we can connect better. That's when we talk about what your goals are, because then you have gone and you're taking cake orders. We want to help you succeed and do it better and grow, so that because you know, one thing I learned about my journey here, it is incredibly lonely. I'm glad I have you, okay? But it's not the same. I wish I had somebody to check in with me, as even on this YouTube thing. I'm figuring a lot of this shit out on my own. Like most people, now that, look, let me tell you, now that I have like a traditional job, I feel like a person again. Like, I do feel like I am back in society. Okay? Because I used to feel like I had all this time on my hands, right? Which was fun. I enjoyed it, and it was a good thing. But I just felt like when work colleagues were talking with each other. Where's my colleague? And a mixer. They're not talking to me. Like, they're not talking to me. Okay? And I almost always felt like I was sitting in a place of position. I don't know. I'll explain this humbly. Like, because I was always here delivering information, researching things that expand my knowledge of baking, you end up unknowingly embracing the competence of what you are used to. So you know when they say people take on their jobs, like when a boss, say a manager at work who is used to ordering people around, especially if they have a very strong character. This is not to say everybody is like that. But if you're in a place of instructing everybody, you assume that because that is a muscle you have expressed all the time. And I will say this out, it's actually worse when you don't have anyone to check you. Like, say if I came home when like doing what I do, because I didn't have anybody to compete with me or to kind of like bring me back to planet Earth in a moment and be like, you know what, I'm not one of those people you talk to over there. I'm not one of those people you teach, okay? So for a long time, I had to always like feel like I was operating from a place of leadership where people will constantly, even I have relationships around me that just see me as me, which is fine. But for the new relationships that I will encounter in normal social interaction, it learned on my skill set. So it's either I am advising a set of people on X amount of things, how to do this and how to do that. And that wasn't fun. And suddenly I'm in a group of people where it's like, you're not the experienced one here, sit down. And that's a good thing, because that humbles you to kind of go back to exercising the muscle of learning something else that you don't know. And suddenly you realize that you're not the main character, okay? And it's a good thing, that's all. Then I say, I hear self-employment is so lonely, girl. It's about, you know what, the good thing is it can't be that lonely because you have an online community here now, but it's not the same. I know what you're saying. It's not the same. It's not the same. Okay, group meet for the chatting and Zoom chit chat and cat. Listen, okay, so you see, people, I told you we are about to live. We YouTube and its money can go away, okay? That's £20 a week, a month. Bye, okay? We are about to have a Zoom chit chat with our drinks about here, and we're gonna be having real conversations over there, okay? All right, and look. It might be an assessment. We could put in moments of assessment for, say, people who are growing their businesses, like help your cake thing you're doing, and then you know, like something for you to kind of build on and to see yourself grow, and to also not feel that you have to meet every and any expectation. That's all. So that will be fun. So if you're up for a Zoom chit chat, let's hear it in the chat, because look, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun, and it will be fun to not, because you know, the thing that actually led me to kind of having the community was because I felt like sometimes you want to say something, but you're also mindful. Whilst I know that you over there, you're not judging me because you and I are sitting here, there are people sat on the fence also watching us. And after we've gone, there are other people who skip the fence and come in, and they're new people and they don't know the culture here and they don't know the lay of the land. And they're trying to suss us up. So my point is, here is the open space. Let's create a space where we can feel comfortable in. And I'm glad, whilst the suggestion is here, it's not my idea, okay? Because I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. Okay, So if we want to go and get in a Zoom chit chat, let's go and we can talk about, that is where we can talk about faith. That's where we can talk about motherhood. That is where we can really get into some of, life in. We can talk about menopause too, perimenopause. And we can talk about shifting bra. Okay? We can talk about shifting bra, because tell me why I decided to go and buy myself a bra that supports a backless dress. And today I am not wearing a backless dress, and the bra is kind of falling on my hand. Like, why? Why? Can someone tell me why? But then again, that's a girl's life, isn't it? We have 7 minutes, 54 seconds to go, which means we can check on our cake. Okay. Now, let's hear it for the claps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Well, the cake was supposed to have baked for 1 hour and 15 minutes. And we took them out at exactly 1 hour, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, what? 6 seconds. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 6 seconds, because we still had 7 minutes, 50 something seconds, 54 seconds on the timer, right? So what am I looking for? Let's have a look. It's clean. And it's clean. Okay. So peeps, let's see. I am so glad that you guys want to hang out on Zoom. It's going to be fun. Maybe once a month, okay? And I don't have to have the pressure of baking or anything. I mean, if you have baking questions specific to you, right, then come and let's talk about it. But we're not going to make it a pressure place where I'm going to have to come and stand and bake. No, I can actually just sit down and have my cup of tea and stare and let's chit chat. So we'll derive a format about it, what it is like, update session. Anyone got something to update us? Let us know. Anyone got some good news, something we can all share with each other? Okay, and then we can delve into other things. We have 40 minutes to 1 hour. Think about it as like a group meetup. And then we can have fun. I'm excited about this, I am. You these villagers, hey. Okay, let's go have a look at the cake and see what the results are. There you go. Okay. First of all, at least it's not burnt, which is important. Because if you know me, I will burn a cake. Oh, okay. First of all, I'm going to try and show you what it looks like on the top. So let's see how deep each one baked. What do we have here? It went a little over 3 inches deep for each one. Yeah, a little over 3 inches deep. The thing with this recipe, to answer the question of those who just sometimes want to know how it bakes into other things. 2-3 inch when you use the 6 inch. When you use a 5 inch, it bakes the deeper 4 inch, a little over the 4, so it comes up the lip. And the cake itself stands tall at nearly 9 inches high. So if you use the 5 inch tin, which is the smaller tin, the cake after stacking with buttercream, when you layer it, the height goes all the way up this way, nearly 9 inches tall. But when you bake it in 6 inch, it comes up to about a little over 3 inch. And by the time you tort it and everything, you stack it, it's standing at about 6 to 7 inches high, which is a tall cake, 2 inches over the traditional height of a cake. If you switch it to a 7 inch, it will bake a little above 2 inches. And by the time you put it together, it is going to be a little over 4 inches high for in terms of height. So 5-inch will give you a tall 9-inch double barrel cake. 6-inch will give you an average tall 7-inch cake. 7-inch, as in diameter, if I was using the broader thing, will bring you to a cake that's about 5 inches in terms of height. And 8 inches will bring you down to about 3 inches, if you like. So I will convert those and I'll put those props in the community post to you, just in case you want to know, and hopefully that should help. Jack, I'll catch you via email. Take care. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Lovely to catch up again, and I'll catch you up soon. Take care, my dear. Right? So, yeah, Auntie Jack says, let's catch up via email. And if the group wants to start outside of here as a community run thing, look, let's know who is in. She's got to run. Love to you all, and she'll see us soon. Okay? So this is how sturdy the cake is. And look at the top. It's baked flat. It's warm though, and it's sturdy. Ooh, look. This is the cake you really want, okay? When you want to make a cake that stacks up, glad don't go cracking the cake, okay, people? There you go. Whew. It's been lovely being here today, my people. Really, really enjoy. Our cakes are baked. I've got to go do this part. Here's the thing. This is a customer cake. So I've got to go tort it and sort it out. It is my real hope, though, that I'll bring you along the decorating of this cake. So keep an eye on the community post. We'll take this by day. Remember, we don't have any expectation. We don't want to give ourselves the pressure. But I am going to commit to bringing you along this decorating process. So check back on the community post for updates about where we are, either tomorrow, which is Wednesday, or Thursday, because this cake goes out on Friday 3 p.m. So we have 2 days to make this cake. So come along the process by checking the community post, and I will see you on the next one.